it's your old pal Jordan the Lion. We are passing through Texarkana on our way to our first day of vlogging in Arkansas. Daze with Jordan the Lion. It begins right now. Hello, Arkansas. So you might be wondering what we're going to do today. Well, I've always said if I came to Arkansas, I wanted to go visit the grave of someone who recently was buried here a couple of years ago. Outside of Delight, Arkansas, in the Campbell family cemetery, we're going to see the grave of the great Glen Campbell. And hello, Arkansas for the first time. Now we're passing through Hope, Arkansas. I just saw a sign for the birth home, childhood home of President Bill Clinton. He's just chilling, making my day better. That sign over there says, Hope, Arkansas, home of the world record 268-pound watermelon. Now we're really getting to the dirty back roads and the twists and turns. Almost there. There we go, there's our sign. He was raised outside of Delight and he's buried in Billstown, the Campbell family cemetery. Wow, look at this old country store out here. Jeez, this is definitely telling you kind of what the area is like. It's pretty slim pickings out here. There's not a whole lot of houses or much of anything. Boy, it is really far out here. Like, really out in the middle of nowhere. I'm really shocked too. I mean, I would have thought he would have been buried in Los Angeles or something. Well, we definitely found it. Here it is. Campbell Cemetery, Billstown, Arkansas. If you're wondering what the music is, motion censored. I came out here and started walking around. All of a sudden, Glenn started singing to me. I got no complaints with that. I love his voice. And that's one of the great talents of Glen Campbell. Amazing guitar player, amazing singer, amazing songwriter, great collaborator. Now they have a historical placard here. It says, Glen Travis Campbell, legendary singer and guitarist Glen Campbell was born in Billstown, Arkansas on April 22nd, 1936. Died in Nashville, Tennessee on August 8th, 2017 after a courageous battle with Alzheimer's disease. Campbell brought country music to the mainstream as the genre's first crossover star with hits like Rhinestone Cowboy, Wichita Lineman, and Southern Nights. He made history by winning Grammy Awards in both the pop and country categories, and a renowned career that spanned more than 6 decades and sold more than 50 million records. Campbell created an indelible mark on the American pop culture as a beloved musician, singer, actor, and television personality. Now it continues on the other side. It's always nice to come out and visit someone and have them sing to you from the trees. I love it. Can I make a request? Can I get some Gentle on My Mind or Wichita Lineman next? Here on the other side, you'll see that it says, he began his professional career as a groundbreaking guitarist for Elvis Presley, Frank Sinatra, the Beach Boys, and many others, playing in the archetypal backing band, The Wrecking Crew. Campbell then spent decades atop the charts as a solo artist and recipient of numerous industry awards and honors. Some of his accolades include 10 Grammy Awards, 11 Academy of Country Music Awards, 3 American Music Awards, 3 Country Music Association Awards, and 3 Gospel Music Association Dove Awards. Campbell was inducted into the Country Music Hall of Fame in 2005 and the Musicians Hall of Fame in 2007. He also received the Grammy Lifetime Achievement Award in 2012 and the Arkansas Country Music Lifetime Achievement Award in 2018. Now, let's go visit the great Glen Campbell. And they mentioned his battle with Alzheimer's. They made a documentary about that, about his suffering with that and living with it, and just what it really does to the mind in the end. Now, this is really an honor because Glen was born out here, as we saw, and to a very, very poor family. The saving grace for Glen was that he was an exceptional guitar player. Even from the time he was a kid, when he got his first guitar, he could, as he said, monkey see, monkey do. If somebody showed him something, he could pick it up. If he heard a song, he could learn it right away. And he started playing on the regular from the time he was 8. He could just, he was a great singer, great guitar player, both. And eventually his uncle saw that, and since they were a poor family, his uncle talked him into going off and playing shows in local beer joints and brothels to make a little bit of money when Glen was just 15. He ended up dropping out of school when he was 16, playing professionally with his uncle's band, and then the band moved to Albuquerque. So Glen moved to Albuquerque when he was 16 years old. He ended up getting married, and his wife was pregnant when she was 15. They ended up losing the baby, which was sad. But he ended up, once he got to Albuquerque, started playing with the band and then formed his own band and then started getting session gigs and started making money playing guitar for a living. I mean, he was doing it on the regular, like doing session gigs and everything. And then decided when he was 23 that he thought he was good enough to take his talents to Los Angeles. Now that was extremely smart because Glen did, after a couple of months, get a couple of good gigs, and one of them was at Gold Star Recording Studios working for Phil Spector. Phil Spector ended up having a massive hit with the first session that Glen had with him, and Glen became a sought-after musician because he became part of the Wrecking Crew. This is a group of musicians who were just the absolute LA elite, and anytime a good record producer or songwriter wanted a good band that they thought could give them a hit, they would hire the Wrecking Crew. So even though Glen's first marriage didn't work out, he was now married for the second time, and he was actually rolling in money here in Los Angeles because he was not only in the most sought-after recording crew there was, but he was a great singer and a fantastic guitar player. He was intuitive, so he got hired sometimes doing 5 sessions a day, and he would get paid double because he would get paid as laying down tracks for guitar, and he would also get paid for laying down vocals because he was just that good. So he started really making money, and from like 62 through the 60s, his career really took off. And he would say that he recorded his favorite project at this time when he worked on Beach Boys' Pet Sounds, which is what I really came to know him from, knowing that he was on those recordings, because he ended up, when Brian Wilson had been out touring and just kind of snapped while they were touring, said he couldn't do it anymore, Glen Campbell immediately went out and replaced him on the road. And that was the plan, was for Glen to be the permanent replacement for Brian. But he was so talented that he only did it for a year before he had his own record deal with Capitol Records. Problem was, Capitol Records didn't know what to do with him. They didn't know, because he was so good of a musician, they didn't know if they wanted to do an instrumental project with him or if they wanted to utilize his voice. So they started working with different producers, and nobody was really having a hit with Glen. And they almost gave up on him till one of the executives said, look, he hasn't had a hit yet, but the guy's got talent. It's just a matter of time before the right song comes along. And it was not too long before Gentle on My Mind came about, and he started having just a parade of hits after that. Some of the songs that he collaborated with Jimmy Webb doing Galveston and Wichita Lineman, and I mean, there were just so many great songs that he did during that time. And he ended up, because of that, because of the massive appeal that he had, because he wasn't just a good singer and a good guitar player, he was really likable to watch. So he was fun to watch, and they ended up giving him his own television show. And that's one of the fondest memories from my childhood, was my grandma always used to do a Glen Campbell impression. Anytime somehow his name would come up or she would hear a song, she would always do her, "Hi, I'm Glen Campbell." Now by the 70s, Glen was making a lot of money, but he started drinking a lot and was losing focus. He was performing a lot, he was doing a lot of shows, and was selling out big places like 18,000 seat arenas. But once his show was canceled in 1971, he dropped down to doing like 5,000 seaters and was drinking a lot more. And then there were rumors that he was, even though he was married, that he was hanging out and, you know, maybe canoodling with his opening act, Bobby Gentry. And then there were rumors that he was seeing Mac Davis's wife, Sarah Davis, and that turned out to be true. So Glen ended up eventually marrying Sarah Davis, and that marriage didn't work out. He eventually would meet Kimberly. Now Kimberly, she ended up going out with him on accident. Friends of hers had tickets to a concert and invited her to the concert, and then said, "Oh, well, you'll be our friend's date, and our friend's Glen Campbell." So she went on this date, and she really didn't seem to like him, because by the end of the date, he was completely drunk. He had become, you know, a major drinker and a cocaine abuser by this point. And by the end of the date, he was pretty much trying to get her to sleep with him, and she wasn't interested. But she said that she saw when they sat down for dinner that he prayed before he ate, and she thought that gave him like just a little bit of hope. So they started seeing each other and eventually fell in love, but his drinking was a major problem. And one time she started recording him and then left the recordings out and said, "Hey, I want you to listen to this recording." And he started to realize how bad he was as a drunk. He was never like that when he was sober, but boy, he was a very mean, angry drunk. He would even, you know, he had a time where he was involved with Tanya Tucker, who was much younger than him. I think she was like 21. And all the stories of their time together were drunken fights, throwing things at each other, hitting each other, paramedics coming. It was just totally crazy. And so he started to clean up his act. He said for 4 years he would pray to become a better person. And little by little, he ended up seeing that work, and he repaired all the relationships with his kids. He never really had much of a relationship with his kids, and ended up fixing that and had a pretty happy life with Kimberly, performing up until right before his death. He really didn't know many people at the end of his time on earth, but he could still play music. It was crazy. You put a guitar in his hand and he could still do everything on guitar that he ever had. Real honor to come out and visit Glen today. I just always loved his music. I loved his acting. He was in True Grit. He even used to joke and say that he was such a bad actor that that's why John Wayne won his only Academy Award in True Grit, because Glen was so bad it made John look that good. You can see there are various different family members buried out here. And down to the other end of the cemetery, I noticed there's a headstone that says Campbell, and it has a guitar on it. Wondering if that might be the uncle that he was in the band with when he was 15. Right here. Just kind of curious. And I noticed right down the road, one of the mailboxes right over here says Campbell. I bet that is. Yeah, it is Boo. Boo Campbell, that was his uncle. And this one way down here says Spoon Man. And then here are Glen's parents, John Wesley and Carrie Dell Campbell. Glen always credited God as making every right step in his life. And Glen said, I made all the wrong ones, and somehow everything still worked out. You can see he married Kimberly in 1982. One sad thing I did hear was that after he passed away, that his kids and really nobody in his family got anything, that his wife Kimberly got everything. Well, my friends, we're going to call it a day. I hope you enjoyed our drive through Arkansas today to come pay our respects to the great Glen Campbell. Go listen to some Glen Campbell or watch his variety show. It was so good. He was such a likable person. Thank you all for watching. We'll see you next time from somewhere else here in Arkansas. Have a great night and goodbye.